Hey, what's up, guys? Back with another vid here today. So before I get into the actual point of the vid, tomorrow, I'll be streaming, and it kind of doing something I've never really done before. Since we hit 4,000 subs and about I think 1,000 followers on Twitch also. I'm gonna stream starting around 8 a.m. Eastern time. Ish. That's kind of relative, but it should be about that time. And I think I'm going to be doing just running some platoons with any of you all. It's not something I've ever really done, but I just thought it'd be a little different than just giving away a whole bunch of tanks. Granted, I still have codes, and I eventually will probably do a giveaway, but the tanks I have left, I don't feel like are that great, personally. I'll still probably give them away. There's probably still a few that others probably think are decent, but yeah, I also got to go through the code and see which ones I haven't and have used. I haven't really keep a way of tracking them, but yeah, 8 a.m. tomorrow, I'll be doing a vid. I'll probably put a couple more announcements out on Twitter and some other stuff on the community page on YouTube, but just a kind of FYI. So this game, like I said, I'm going to try to show you how I kind of tackle this map, this version of this map. And you kind of see this initial, from this spawn, at least. I go to this initial position, this area. That's just because, well, you can see what we lit up. We spotted 4 tanks initially, and we've got a few others too. Now the IS-7 was kind of my main focus here, because I saw he was pushing up and he was going to go up to my left on the ramp right there, which can be an issue because then he can spot you fairly easily. This position can be a little more tricky if their lights push up early, and they can do that, so just be aware. So like to my left, sometimes what can happen is their fast mediums and light tanks can push up very quickly to the ramp where the IS-7 was going. And what happens is, well, you can't use this position, or you're just stuck behind this little hill, or the one to my right that I'm going to use in a second as well. And basically that can happen sometimes, so just kind of be aware of that. But if you can get into a position like this where they don't do that, which is probably, I don't want to straight facts, but it's maybe 50-50 on that happening, just as a rough estimate. But you can see from this position in 2.5 minutes we already got 1,200 damage and 4,200 assisted. So this map is awful for lights, I find, when it's the standard version of it. But when you do get that off chance of it being the encounter variant that is around, it's actually quite decent for legitimate scouting. I still wouldn't say it's here for lights, but it's good for scouting. You're not gonna, I don't do much damage on this map usually, but like I said, you can still have a good result assisted wise on this kind of setup. And I think I mentioned it in the Gorilla vid. And that's just because of the long lines of sight that are available, basically. One side is on the opposite here. I really wish I could have that shot back. But it just opens up the sight lines, basically. Rather than it being 3 corridors. It's basically 2 corridors now, but they're very wide open fields for the most part. From the other spawn, you really don't want to, at least I don't, maybe somebody else can make it work, but spot this side. You could come up to where I'm at right now. It's kind of risky. Actually, it's very risky. I usually spot the other field. It's not as rewarding as this spawn by far. I've never really had done too much, but the other spawn and the other flank, I feel like from the other spawn I can exploit them more. If that makes sense. I wish I had gameplay of it, but basically, a lot of the time I find that from this spawn that I'm in right now, that your team doesn't push that other side very often. So if you're using the other spawn, which the red team has right now, it's actually fairly decent for kind of getting in behind them, basically, and flanking them. That's the best way to put it, I guess. Hey, you see, it's slowed down a little bit on the assisted at this point, because they're being a little more cautious. They're using cover, and basically, I'm just trying to. The tortoise is probably the most vulnerable. He keeps poking out, and then we see him finally poke, and then we just destroy him for 10 damage. He's gonna feel that one tomorrow, guys. But he actually does, because we do track him, which is nice. So we do get a bit of assisted from that, which is kind of the goal with the derp guns when you're fighting these heavily armored tanks. Again, we increased our damage total there by 15, so I mean, it's pretty good. But you see, we automatically track him and rack up a lot of assisted on him, so we're up to 7,200 now. Now here, I really should have paid attention to my ammo loadout. It's kind of obvious, but I wasn't. And I'm like, oh, I'll just derp this guy. And I'm like, oh, good. Oh, I still got heat. I got heat loaded now because I ran out of ammo. So yeah, and for some reason I don't switch. Some reason I think, hey, I can now that I know, I'll just derp him in the side. Not the best call. He doesn't hit me until when we're going up the hill and I kind of mess up driving. We fire at him, RBRT. We do hit him, but we only track him. Again, I don't know why I didn't load the HE. But well, you can see we did a really good result there. Not much damage. It is probably gets okay damage, but it's going to be harder if you're not in the derp tank, actually, because you're not going to be able to get those side shots that are really beneficial. And then we get to finish the game off with one full pen, which is always nice to just tick the damage up over 2,000. So it's good. See, that position, you may actually do less damage if you're in a tank that's not the T-49 or the Tusk or like Turtle, just because your gun may struggle to pen the things that are in front of you if you are firing. I will warn a little bit. It's only about, I think, 400 meters or so to that ridge line where a lot of their snipers kind of set up at, or where they were down low, or even less. So I'm using a fairly decent crew in this. I think it's like 6 or 7 perks. Not exactly sure on the setup, but it's probably the usual, you know, 6th Sense, Brothers in Arms, situational awareness, camo, green thumb, stuff like that. So just kind of be cautious of that, a little wary that just because I'm shooting there, you may not want to. You may just want to do a little passive scouting until you're sure, or you know you have a really good crew. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of idea how I tackled that Pearl River encounter in a light from that spawn. And I will catch you hopefully tomorrow. And see ya.